trust for their heirs. Why do I say develop a medical trust or a tuition trust for paying for grandchildren or great-grandchildren? What's the highest growing inflationary product out there? Education, right? Education, very expensive. And we have to educate our people. We have to educate them. So, a tuition trust for anyone in your family, nieces, nephews, anyone.
Is that 529?
You could use the 529. That can pass from blood relations, or it can be a trust. Or you can pay it direct, whichever way you wish. So it's 3 ways. Trust, 529, pay it direct. Okay, but if you want something long-term, it'd have to be a trust, I think. Because you don't know what the 529 will be like. If it's only going to be your own blood relative. You might find somebody in your own family that's not your blood relative, but married in, you really want to educate. You never know. Question?
No, I was just going to add to that 529 only there's a ceiling on how much you can put in each year.
Each year, there's
You're
this.
behind.
Well, there's no ceiling on how much you can put in, by the way. I don't think there's a ceiling. There's a ceiling on what you can deduct on state taxes. 3,000, I think, is the deduction.
Okay, so
The ceiling is just the
3,000.
deduction.
Anything over that will start to be taxed as you put it in.
It won't be taxed as you put it in, but you have to be careful you don't put more than $1 million in, because you can only give your grandchildren $1 million. So the grandchildren deduction is, Kitty, a gift tax, a deduction for grandchildren for skipping a generation, it's generation skipping tax, is $1 million. So you got to be careful with that. But there aren't too many of us that do that. But even if you do a little bit, it's going to help. The medical, yes.
When you put money in for like on the college, doesn't
Yeah.
that affect kids if they want to apply for grants?
Oh, it could. It could. But get rid of that thinking. Just think this. You have a cup half full, and you have a cup half empty. Sure, you can apply for grants. Who's going to pay for it? The government. And sure you can find a way to hedge on nursing home. How much better if you have a glass that's half full? How much better than half empty? I don't know if it's better to apply for grants or not, but I think it's simply because we haven't saved enough. But if you start early enough for your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or anybody in your family, and it doesn't have to be huge amounts. You can then decide by planning, how much do I want in here? And why do I say medical bills? Does anybody know why I say medical bills? Medical trust. Well, because is Medicare going to be able to take care of all of us at the same rate? You know, just take a look at Canada. It may not be able to do it. And if it doesn't, at least you have a way to pay for your children and your grandchildren. So think about education, tuition, and medical bills for your grandchildren. There are 3 things that have kept us, let me see if I can find my little sheet here. 3 taxes that I think are very important. If you're transferring now, the growth of your real estate assets and your business assets, more than likely, and your stock assets are depleted. I mean, they're down. Notice I showed you 40%. So this is a good time to do it. And the growth will be in not your estate, but their estate down the road. Now, interest rates. Interest rates are very low. They're the lowest I've seen in a long time. So you can actually buy a house through a trust for your kids or grandchildren. Interest rates are very low. How long can you lock in the interest rates for? You think? Excuse me? 30, 15, 25, 20, and 30. Now, if you're gonna lock in for 30, do you think you can get a 5% loan? Probably not. But you might be able to get 5.85. Is that still pretty low? You bet. It's very low. So you can pay the interest on a house, even give to a trust on paying for the house, take a deduction, have no tax on starting the trust, and I'll tell you about these trusts in a minute, but actually start building their wealth through a house. That's one thing. And then gift taxes. What's the best way you can give to everyone in your family? How much money can you give every single year? And to me, 12,000. 12,000. You can give $12,000. Now, if you have $12,000 of American Funds, Growth Fund of America, is it down 40%? Yes. Are you just gifting 40% less than it was last year? Yes. Are you gifting them more shares? Yes. Is it a good thing to do? Yes. At least think about it. So all this is a financial therapy class to think about what you could do. Because not everybody's going to want to do the same things. So every time you make a decision about creating an inheritance, you have to think about several things. The worksheet has the several things you have to think about. Does anybody have an answer for the first one? And we should teach this in school, the school teachers that are here. This should be taught. What do you have to think about? What's the first thing you have to think about? Family what? Security. Family security. What else do you have to think about? Family values. Growth in this particular account. Family values, growth, creating a legacy. Creating a legacy, and maybe not only creating a legacy for money, but a legacy on how they're supposed to live. Do you know, who do they get more information from? Name the places they get more information from than us. Which one? Which what in TV? What on TV? Name some things. MTV is one. Another thing. Name something else. I was myself thinking of the news. It's the most negative place to be. You know, notice how negative it is. So if you were Generation Y or Generation X, what would you say? I give up. Why do I want to listen to this? Why do I want to do this? Excuse me? Oprah? Oprah, okay. Anything else? Anything? Well, Oprah's an example of, okay, we're going to give to these families, but you donate, and then we'll give. I mean, it reminds me of Britney Spears and Michael Jackson. You know, I really don't believe in that. I mean, I think she's very good at what she does. But when you think about Oprah, she doesn't really give her money away. She wants you to donate to give money away. So, I mean, that's the way the value system has been. I don't believe that we should do that. I believe our kids would do much better if they learn how to give a little bit. Really and truly give. So I said to my grandchildren the other day, you have to work every week, they're 7 years old to 9 years old, for 25 cents. Then you have to bring the 25 cents to church, and you have to put it in the collection plate every Sunday, because they go to church with me. And they said, oh, that's a great idea, Grandma. They didn't remember. We got out of church. They just didn't remember. It never even entered their head again. So what do you need? You need somebody who's there to tell them, you know, to remind them, to be part of it, and to give to anything, any one of the causes that are out there. I think it's very important. And even if they develop a scholarship fund where they put their little bit of money in, and you pay them, they put it in. Why? Because it shows them there's something out there. And I think we have to do that. That's one thing I think is important. And the other thing is, I think you have to have a meeting once a year with your kids, or your family, or your friends, whoever it is that's going to take care of you. If you have no kids, you have to have some friends you really trust. And if you don't, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you're all alone? I have a lot of people who say they're all alone. And actually, we become their best friend. I keep thinking, this is ridiculous. This gotta be